My name is Nick. This is Toufii Saliba. This is This Week in Hypercycle, September 13th, 2023. Toufii, what's going on, man? Yeah, you got a lot going on. You're not, I don't know where that background is, but it doesn't smell like America. Doesn't look like Mexico. Maybe you'll tell us, maybe you won't. I don't know. What's going on in Hypercycle?
Well, interestingly, one of the heartbeats that we've had yesterday with the Hyper AI box, which you all heard about Hyper AI box, I was joining the team. As you know, with Hyper Appliance, we have assigned one of our EIR and elected him CEO, Evan, and he is doing marvelous at that job. And it's effectively, we needed somebody with that leadership to run that company and focus on that one thing, get those devices, distribute them, sell them, and so on and so forth. And the factory that is partnering with us to create the Hyper Appliance, remember, Hyper Appliance is not a company that we own. It's a partnership between the Koreans, the Brits, and us. And the British guys, which they are the main guys, Dr. Yanko and his team, they're extremely excited. So they were here in this place, which is maybe a few rooms up in what is it called? In Singapore, forget the name of the island. It's one of the islands there in Singapore. And the reason for that is because many of the events that they're holding for the hardware and AI and stuff like that coincides with a lot of guys that they're coming for the Formula One upcoming in this weekend. At the same time, today and tomorrow, there's this Coin 2049 in Singapore, which I'm not attending, but I might meet some people from there as well. So extremely busy times. Been doing until 7 a.m. every day, and sometimes I get to sleep between 7 and 8:30. Not last night. I'm doing all right, and I'm super energetic, and there's a lot of moving parts. So during that heartbeat, I dialed in, I had the camera off, and then I turned the camera on, and then all the team, Evan and all the team, they look and they see Dr. Yanko instead of me, because we were just having catch up, and they were like, what's going on? Somebody stole Toufi's device. But yeah, it was a great meeting. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming from that company, and that's remember, this is a company that's actually building the full device. People, they take this device, got the Hypercycle all installed on it. The amount of work to install that device is comparable to the amount of work to install a modem. The reason why I'm saying this is because installing your modem at home, when you get that internet, if you install it, sometimes you need to change the password for it because you have guests or whatnot. Instead of doing that, this box would be, you have to install your own, you have to generate your own key. That is comparable amount of work, and then you're good to go. So when I say plug and play, there's no more than that plug and play, because if you don't have your own keys, you don't own your own assets. So that's extremely important step. But other than that, everything is built for you.
Two questions. One, with the Hyper AI box, because a lot of people in the community are quite excited about this. This allows anyone to participate in tilling. Is that right?
So long as they have electricity and internet.
Two, which, I mean, I guess if you didn't have electricity and internet, you wouldn't be in the crypto space. The second question
AI, you wouldn't be an AI at all either. So it's like, yeah.
So the second question is, the tilling we get, you could probably run, we speculate, you could run an entire masternode for tilling on this device. Once compute kicks in, we figure what, 1 or 2 nodes could run, and this would be sufficient for compute?
Right. 1 node is sufficient. I wouldn't run more than 1 node.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that happens on that node, and you want to give it the ability to, when it splits, that you're not stuck with a split that it cannot run to for a period of time until you get more hardware or whatnot. The beauty of it all is that there's so much excitement around it that anyone, when you say anyone in the world, truly anyone, because it's like maybe we should have added one additional thing: electricity, internet, and dedication to keep this box on and not spill milk on it or whatnot. Like
You would cry over spilt milk.
you would. That box is going to be very, very, very expensive. This thing that runs that one node has the capability to become 1024 nodes. This is more like you're starting a root of your plant. This is like the seed that's going to become like this big tree. So you gotta really take care of it when it's small. Like, don't think that it's like, it's small, it's not important. That small little plant, that's not just a grass. This is actually becoming a big tree. And yeah, so I would say like one node on one of those machines. And I gave an example, if you don't mind. I'm just gonna do the metaphor because it seems people, they message me separately every time I do those things with you. They message me separately. We like this metaphor. Some people even tweet about it. So do you mind if I tell you this metaphor?
Of course, get to it.
Okay. So what's owning a master node? Well, owning a master node, it's like you have the license for franchise. Let's say Walmart is giving franchises. They're selling you the franchise. Now you own that franchise. Okay. If you own the franchise for Walmart and you decide to run it in a tiny little corner store, the entire village, wherever you run it, they start thinking and giving you reputation and giving you that your uptime 24/7, whatnot, of a tiny little corner store, right? And in that tiny little corner store, you only have maybe 200 items. That's okay. You get to a point where, like, you crawl and then you want to then expand. But if you give the entire village, as they come to your shop or whatnot, you tell them about this huge like lot that you're constructing or whatnot, that is perhaps a very good thing, because you don't want people to think that you have the license for Walmart, and that can be 200,000 square feet, and you're only running it in like a 200 square feet, right? So that's very powerful. This metaphor, it works really well. You own this. What do you want to do with it? What kind of reputation you want to get? What kind of proof of uptime you want to get? What kind of how many customers you want to service, whatnot. Now, of course, somebody would be like, so are you telling me that I should actually run an entire warehouse, whatnot? Well, maybe that's also an overkill, because that village is like, suddenly it's got like this whole Walmart. What, they're gonna start buying more stuff just because you exist? Like maybe it needs this. So there is, it's but you own that. If you own it, what can you do with it? Well, can you split it into two smaller ones? The answer is yes. Can you split it to 512 and sell it to tiny little villages so they can open corner stores? And the answer is yes. So those are the things that you could do with it right now. Run it as a corner store and start building it, whatnot.
That brings me to a third question. Let's say we have our Hyper AI box, and we've been running it. We've been doing great, good uptime, consistent, great liveness. We have a good reputation. Our 1.26 and 1.26 and 1.26 is getting just on the edge of 2. We're just about to split. When it splits, when the node splits, do I need to get another Hyper AI box, or will this box be sufficient? Because my thinking is, at that point, it's time to expand the hardware in the same way that at that point, I'd have to buy another store location.
Right, 100%. You don't. So it's like you don't have to, but you have the ability to. So it's like
you should scale into it.
Right. It's kind of like, it becomes like an opportunity cost if you don't. You remember the coffee shop example? We said you have now a huge lineup of people coming buying coffee. You can no longer sell more. Maybe you need to open another one. Otherwise, it's an opportunity cost. So that's basically something that people need to provision, that having this capability does not mean that you have to spend money. That having this capability, you could actually even sell it. You could start having more money. Having this capability, that means it's more value that you have created, more wealth that you have created. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that you have to spend money.
Okay, switching gears just for a second. do we have any HyperPG updates? I know a lot of people are very hot on that subject.
We do. So we have with HyperPG, as you all know, we have several pools. The one pool that went into many different, no pun intended, cycles of audits. It's just that is coming to finality now, that many different auditors, it used to be like one auditor group, and then they were taking this Vira's time, and then as soon as we introduce another one, then they suddenly start acting up. And it's kind of like reminds me of how when you depend on the bank, they treat you like shit. But if you tell them you've got so many other things and you don't depend on them, they better be of service, and they are of service. So it's like it's just that's how it is. So luckily we engaged this other group, and it kind of created this competition. So we're likely to we only engaged that other group last Friday, Nick. We're probably getting it today or tomorrow. That's how, it's just miraculous. But I mean, even if we do get it this Friday, it's like in 1 week. Remember how the other guys have gone like so many different cycles. So so it's looking good. That's on that V2 that enables folks to have above 524,000. Remember, anything from 524,000 below, that's always existed. That's the working.
It's above that master node level. That's the sticking point right now.
The above the master node level of tokens, if you want to give them to enable somebody to pledge their tokens, that tiny little thing, instead of because what's available right now, if you have 524,000, you can do it. If you have like 5.2 million, you can do it, but you do have to do 10 times.
Yeah.
Okay. 10 times you have to, and that is not user friendly. To make it user friendly, make it like one shot click. It requires another smart contract, as the V2, and that's the one that it's taking these guys 4 weeks. That it's like one click instead of like 10 clicks. So that's coming, but in parallel to things, we're not. We don't. We do a lot of things in parallel, as you know. So we started this thing with HyperPool that I've talked about it last week with you on this update, and it's basically that one. A lot of people getting excited about it. It's this entire glue of other things. And what does that mean? Let's say somebody tomorrow comes in and provides so much hardware, to oversaturated with hardware. We have 2 times more than we can consume, but then it becomes an opportunity cost on our entire ecosystem. That it's like, dude, we have all of this, but we don't have enough licenses to use. We don't have enough tokens to use. We don't have enough, locations or whatnot. That HyperPool will have sufficient fund to get those things immediately. So there is that opportunity cost. Is not like waiting for the chicken egg problem. As soon as we get the chicken, we get the egg. As soon as we get the egg, we get the chicken, effectively.
So this ameliorates HyperPool ameliorates bottlenecks as they occur.
Correct. And the way it is being built, Nick, it's something super exciting for the entire ecosystem of AI mainly, and of crypto. It's any AI project anywhere in the world, any AI project, any token project anywhere in the world, they can benefit from it. What does that mean? You don't have to have this pool in, because remember, we already have the HYPC. We already talked about that. That's the pool. This pool would be anything else. So somebody's got their own token. It gives them the ability to, they have them sitting in their treasury. Well, dude, put them in a pool. Because if you put them in a pool, then they can get things working and then start generating money for you, as opposed to like be sitting there. So of course, people, they're not going to put their entire treasury, but there's always a portion people they can put from whatever token. So that enables things to be done that way. We're also talking to a lot of lawyers that they're giving us the ability to have a matching Delaware Corp. So you're like, you know what? I'm purchasing this business and spending $500,000 between like tokens and license and all of the stuff and whatever, or that ERC 1155 that has all of the stuff in it. Can these guys get the corp done for me? Well, guess what? The answer is yes. It will be done. Click, click. It's done. Beautiful. You have all of that done from your screen, and which means that it's also give you the ability to comply with the SEC law if you were to have partners in that company, because maybe the $500,000 that you actually pledged into this, it was 4 or 5 people. What kind of governance you have and all of the stuff. There will be an ERC 20 under that 1155 that facilitate that. But from legal perspective, it gives you the ability to be compliant with the SEC and so on and so forth. So it gives people a lot of flexibilities. We're excited about that. That's progressing. But what's coming from audit perspective next is the ability to transfer and split the token, not on Cardano only, on ETH. And it seems like so far, every single one who actually bought it on Cardano, they're saying that if you're doing this, I want to get it on Ethereum. I don't want to keep it on Cardano. So it seems like too bad for the whole Cardano community. We're not abandoning them, but if our community, they're choosing that they want to have this asset being represented on ETH instead of Cardano. Remember, this is not our system running on Cardano. We don't run on Cardano. We run on Ethereum. This is our sales channel. Instead of having accounts payables, accounts receivable, bank bullshit, all of the stuff, we did this on Cardano. It works really well. It's still working. But if everybody's saying ETH, what we're doing with this, Nick, is the ability that distributor capability where you can take that master node, split it right there on chain, 2 to 512, you can. If you split it to 256 and you give 256 to John, John can take 256 and split it. That capability becomes uniform, universal, and that is coming as well this week, but potentially next week with the audit done with it, which is great.
Should we comment just for a second? We are in an attempt to stabilize and clean up pricing and make it just easier and more available for everyone. We're making some changes to the way node licenses will be distributed moving forward. Everybody will have access. Everybody.
Right. So, of course, this is something that is extremely important for the existing folks that they bought into licenses. We'll report on that next week, if you don't mind, Nick, because there's a lot of details on that. Everyone that bought a license, they're going to remember that, for change this company, every time we buy something from them, they come with surprises. They're always better. We have certain expectation. They exceed expectations. We want to maintain that. And thanks to all of you, everyone who's watching this, you're already helping us getting there. We're not doing it on our own. Okay. So there's something that it's coming up nicely that resulted in actually, I don't want to talk about all the details, but with a lot of discussions with you, Nick, and brainstorming about all of these of how we're able to realize that. And that realization came by fast forwarding down into the future and looking backwards. There's 2 routes that could lead us there. Which one has the highest probability? The one that has the highest probability is a lot better for those that they've already purchased the licenses, and the ones that they're going to continue buying and being part of this ecosystem and so on and so forth. So I think this is phenomenal that we're able to do that, and I'm hoping that we can continue exceeding the expectations, setting them, agreeing on what we have set up the expectations, shaking hands or signing whatever, then come back and say, guess what? We're going to exceed it by tiny little bit. We're going to exceed it by tiny little bit. And that's thanks to all of you.
We get a bunch of questions, I know, in my dealings with our community and the communities and Telegram and things like that. A lot of people are saying, and if you can't give us an exact answer, fair play, but the question, Wen Tilling, Wen Compute. Can you give us some ballparks?
Okay. So the moment we move, the day after we're done with those two audits that they're granted, is the day that we have a tilling running. In fact, the enablements of actual distribution, the enablement of splitting, the enablement of receiving all that, that's already built. We don't give people the URL for it until we get the audit. So as soon as that button is pressed, what happens behind the scenes? Why are we doing those pools? Remember, we're taking those tokens, putting them into production, which means it's converting them into the bridge that crosses towards the native token. As soon as they plugged as a native token, where are they plugged? They're plugged into some machines. Are they all being plugged at once? The answer is no. But that day is the day that will mark your tokens that you're pledging. Everybody's putting in their tokens and their licenses will mark the day that those they have that start date. Now, of course, what we have done on June 20th, the actual tilling stuff that we've run, this is more like alpha production ready is the day after that. So this is more development. The production ready, I think that if anybody that has purchased a token from an exchange, that they put it through this, or they purchased it from through any of the rounds or whatnot, and they've put it through that pool or sausage making machine, they can proudly say that like part of what I have bought is actually in production, and I have cryptographic proof that it's happening every 10 seconds that I can trace back if I really want to and see it. Of course, we all know this is a ledgerless thing. So can you see each and every one of them every 10 seconds? And the answer is no. But if you were to do work with it for whatever reason, then you will definitely see it. And yeah, that's how it's built, because what is put on certain chains, a bunch of hashes. But if you were to have it dealing with any one of those machines and say like, can you prove to me that you've had an uptime? And it gives you proof that it was like every 10 seconds, boom, every 10 seconds, boom, boom, boom. That's extremely powerful proof that we strongly believe without it, it would be very, very difficult for a system to go and tell the world, hey, we have some phenomenal AI compute. You know, if you go back to that metaphor of Walmart or coffee shop or whatnot, you can't like get that license and wait across the street, see if somebody's going to go to that store to then go and open the store. You have to have that store open, steady, clean, fresh, all of the stuff. And that's effectively what that setup is enables folks to do. So that's
would you say Toufii tilling is days away, weeks away, a month? Ballpark.
Like because of that thing that it's a little bit in the hands of the external
auditors and such. Yeah.
The dependency. If it comes out at the end of the 13th, which is
tomorrow.
If you're in California, it's tomorrow. If you're in Asia today, then it would be on the 14th, like literally the day after. So my estimate, without necessarily losing credibility, given of where things are at, I would say Monday.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah. So if
tentative, not hold your feet to the fire. Tentatively, potentially Monday.
Why don't we say next Wednesday? Because that way, you and I were going to do this and push it out to the folks. So that way, when we say Wednesday, then at least when we do this, we will have an update, whether it is on,
sure,
or maybe what's happening, why it's not on. So that way, it's
And then could I get you just to speculate as we wrap things up today? And I know you also had a community question that was posed to you wanted to tackle, but could you speculate, rough, loose, won't put a gun to your head, Wen Compute?
So running the AI compute, when we run the actual Tilling, although it is capable day one because there's some AI that is being plugged into it, will it be on the 6 months in 1 day? Will it be after 12 months? That is very, very hard to kind of tell when. I can tell you when we'll be ready for that. Technically, we're ready, like I said, like day one, but when we're ready in a massive way that we can actually be proud and show any AI developer some of the cool stuff of how they can actually get it up and running. Because right now I can show any developer of how like you can actually get Tilling going. If I want to show any AI developer how they can get their AI plugged in this massive global machine that we're building, I want to say that maybe 10 months before 9 months before our expected time. So we've said 18 months. I want to say in 9 months. So we're cutting things in basically half. So that would take us somewhere in January. And if anything happens that's going to delay that, I'll certainly let you know. But if anything, I want to have this for Christmas myself. Like, it's more me selfishly. But if I want to say that, like, hey, we're resetting the expectation, people, don't think it's 18 months. It's coming, this thing in about like 6 months. Send me any AI developer. We're going to dazzle them. I would say the end of January to be safe. I don't want to, but if you have
late Christmas, January's fine. Late Christmas.
Right. So then if you do the math on that between May then to end of January, it would be actually February 8th to actually have that 9 months. So if we're saying that February 8th is the date that we can dazzle any AI scientist, this is kind of 9 months earlier than what we said from many aspects. And yeah, it's quite exciting because right now, when we do talk to AI scientists, they don't necessarily. Of course, they love the whole idea that it's like this is a dream come true to AI. They're like, what? We can get to the whole multi-agent, but can I actually take them and plug them into those machines and get their AI or whatnot? Well, that day one that's coming next week, sure I can, but I'm not gonna dazzle them because they're not gonna be like thousands of machines running with heartbeat, talking to each other, doing all of the stuff and whatnot. It would be like, yeah, okay, Toufii showed me this, I was able to plug my AI and it's running. But come from January, February, they're gonna be like, wow, and that's getting that wow moment takes a lot of effort.
Spring break 2024, you dazzle.
Right. Right.
I'm kind of full of all this kind of stuff that you've thrown at us today, which is a lot of information. You said you had a community question that you wanted to tackle. Do you want to tackle that, and then we'll call it a day? We'll call it a week.
Sure. And just so you keep that in mind. So next week there are going to be two major updates. One is on the actual sales of nodes and all that, and the previous things that happened. And the second update would be on that Tilling, whether it already started or starting the day after, or whatnot, or whatever things that is causing it to be delayed, which is basically V2. V2 is up and running. So that's next week. Now, some of the questions that folks they were asking from the community, somebody says like, I bought that master node, but I don't have enough tokens. Is that a problem? And Our answer is like, absolutely, it's not a problem. The machine needs those, but you already have this. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need the other one. And that community member asked actually some phenomenal questions. I don't necessarily mention names of people, but that's one of the questions that we started giving this metaphor of Walmart. And if you think about it, like if you have a franchise of Walmart, but you don't have the merchandise, is that a problem? The answer is no, because a lot of people have the merchandise that they want to put it in within hand somebody who has that license, because they're together, then you can have the whole store. Then what else you need? You need the electricity and the location, all of the stuff. So it's like, it's effectively something that the people, they need to be aware of, that you don't need to have the rest of the things. How can you go about it? There's another pool that enables people the same way you pledge your tokens. There's another pool that is coming that you can plug your license. So you don't have to meet the people and be like, oh, are they going to do a good job? Are they going to put good merchandise? They're going to do this. You just put it in the pool, and the pool will manage it. So that's my answer to community members. You can have any piece of the whole things. And if you have hardware you want to pledge it, you can. Somebody asked if you have a lot of compute, and that's David. If you have a lot of compute and I want to put my compute part of this thing, can I become like a participant, a member, or whatnot? And the answer is like, absolutely yes. How? There will be a pool for that as well, but it's this, because this is not, remember, if you have hardware, if you have location, all that, this is not like our product. This is more like touching the world of atoms as opposed to the world of bits and bytes. And every time you step into the world of atoms, there's all of the unknowns. So there will be a lot of communique that will be sent to folks and people that can benefit from it.
But basically, I think the takeaway is that everybody that has any or multiple parts of the entire pizza that is Hypercycle,
right,
you will be able to participate,
brother. Yes,
at whatever level you want to.
You have mining facility. We're not telling miners anymore, oh, instead of mining. No, don't tell them. Like, if you want to talk to your friend who's miner, the moment you're gonna tell them instead of mining, they would think it's like, oh, but this mining is generating money for me, or at least I know of something. No, don't say instead. In addition to mining, you have something that you can partake into this. You have something that's gonna like generate lots of money, because a lot of people have hardware, a lot of people have software, a lot of people have AI, a lot of people have tokens. They can come and plug into your facility. That's all you have to do. So
perfect hedge.
Right. Yeah.
You know what? I think, Toufii, let's leave it there today, because that's a lot of stuff that you've talked about.
Yes.
I always, every time, it's crazy because I know what we're going to talk about, and then I'm still more excited after we talk about it.
Me too, man. Me too. This is like reminder to everyone. In the history of the entire planet Earth, there's never been a time that the species created another species until now. We are creating it together, guys. This is fascinating. So yeah, thanks for inviting me to this, Nick, and thanks for this fabulous community. It's great.
It's going well. We'll see you again next week. Everybody stay safe, stay in school, don't do drugs, and don't do anything my poor insolvent drunk strung out on meth grandmother wouldn't do.
Right.
Are you tired of all the uneducated noise you're getting from the droves of YOLO meme coin peddling douchebag gurus out there trying to use you as their exit liquidity? Would you rather learn a competent university-level set of skills that will guide you in managing and investing for the rest of your life? Join us 3 days a week at Digital Investor. Develop your knowledge of game theory, cognitive bias, macroeconomics, monetary theory, investment theory, psychology of the crowds, and more. For more info on Digital Investor and how it can help you, reach out at nickblacknext.com.